Garrett Nussmeier re-injures his torso. So where do the Tigers go from here? It's Locked on LSU. Here we go.
You are Locked on LSU, your daily podcast on the LSU Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Okay, let's get it. It is Locked on LSU, your team every day. I'm your host, Matt Moscona. Thanks so much for making us your first listen. We're free, available wherever you get podcasts, of course, on YouTube as well. So please subscribe. As always, one of the fastest ways to help us grow is by leaving your comments below. So thank you sincerely for that. And thank you for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in the world. Frank Wilson met with reporters on Thursday before the Arkansas game. He was giving an injury report. He was asked about Whit Weeks, which he gave that update. He gave an Aaron Anderson update, and then he gave the update that nobody wanted to hear.
Probable, but a little nagging injury reoccurred itself with Garrett Nussmeier today. And so I think he's probable, but a little bit concerning, something that we need to monitor and continue to watch with him as we head into the game.
So Frank confirmed later in the press conference, it is the abdominal issue that Garrett dealt with in fall camp that has lingered in some capacity, tweaked it in Thursday's practice, and now has improbable. He was also asked how they managed it. He said it'd be on the doctors and the trainers for pain management, just to give Garrett, in so many words, saying make him feel good to get through the game is basically what he was saying. Now, in light of this declaration of the re-aggravation of the injury, Frank was also asked about if that would impact who was the starting quarterback Saturday against Arkansas.
Today's practice, Garrett was the starter, has been all week. We'll continue to monitor his situation to see how he is. If we have to start Michael, if it got down to that, we feel that he's fully capable of doing so. But as of today, Garrett will be the starter going into the game, and we'll monitor his progress as we move forward.
So earlier in the week, we talked about the decision to play both Garrett Nussmeier and Michael Van Buren. And my feeling is it more greatly benefits LSU and Van Buren to redshirt him. He's played in 3 games. He can play one more, maintain his redshirt. He can also play in the bowl game. And this is a lost season. You're 5-4. You're not going anywhere of significance. My feeling is redshirt Van Buren, let Nussmeier finish his career at LSU, and you move on into the future. My feeling on that would be different if Nussmeier was not available. If Michael Van Buren were going to go start and play the entirety of the final 3 games, that's different. Now, I don't know the answer to that question because all I have is what Frank Wilson disclosed on Thursday evening, which is to say Nuss tweaked or re-aggravated that abdominal issue, and he's still the starter. So how effective can he be? We don't know. Maybe Nussmeier goes out there on Saturday against Arkansas, tries to give it a go. He's ineffective. Van Buren plays the rest of the game. Maybe Nuss isn't able to come back a week later against Western Kentucky, and Van Buren plays the whole game. Maybe that's how it plays. But my thought now is, and I don't think it's changed, but my thought is, okay, if Garrett Nussmeier is not ready to play this week, is not healthy, is not close to 100%, is a detriment to you this week, then let Michael Van Buren play the entire game. Give Garrett Nussmeier the week off. You can do everything I just said. Van Buren can go play a full game that you get to evaluate where he's not looking over his shoulder. It's not a platoon situation. It's not, well, let Nussmeier play until they go 3 and out. Then you put Van Buren in, and well, then what if Van Buren struggles? Do you put Nussmeier back in, and then how do you do the weird bat? Like, go into the game. If Nuss isn't ready, play Van Buren. Play Van Buren against a terrible Arkansas defense. Give him the whole game. It doesn't matter if he plays a snap, a series, a quarter, a half, or the full game. one game, one snap is one game toward his red shirt. So, or his eligibility. So let him go play the whole game. Let Van Buren play the whole game against Arkansas. And let Nussmeier get healthy and rest. And next week, if Nussmeier is healthy again, then let him play the final 2 games and sit Van Buren and redshirt him. But if Van Buren plays really well and Nussmeier is continuing to struggle and hurt, then play Van Buren the final 3 games. Let him go start and find out what you have in Van Buren for next year. Again, my feeling at the beginning of the week was predicated on Nussmeier being healthy and ready to go, and Van Buren just being used in a platoon backup weird situation in a lost season. It's different if he's going to be your starter and play the whole game, which it sounds like could be the case this weekend and probably is the best thing to do if you can give Garrett Nussmeier a week off. So I understand for Garrett, he's got 3 college football games left. Well, the bowl, you're going to 4 if you include the bowl. And I don't know if he'll play in the bowl. We'll see. But he's got 3 regular season games, only 2 more in Tiger Stadium. My guess is Garrett's going to want to get out there and play. He's going to do everything he can to get out there and play for his team, play with his guys, all that stuff. And I respect it tremendously. But maybe it's one of those things where it's better for Garrett, Michael, LSU, everybody, if Nussmeier isn't healthy this week after re-aggravating that injury on Thursday, less than 48 hours before the game, that's it. And then we get to go see what a full game of Michael Van Buren looks like. And maybe it's awesome. And we go, let the dude start the next 2 games. Or maybe it's awful. And you go, yeah, maybe he's not the guy for next year. But either way, it's a greater sample size to where we'll be able to make a decision, or LSU will be able to make a decision with more information, which would be good. Now, the other 2 injuries that Frank talked about were Whit Weeks and Aaron Anderson. Oh, I'm sorry, and Carius Kern. There were 3. Anderson, Carius Kern, full go. They'll play. They're ready. Whit, game time decision. They continue to not disclose the nature of Whit Weeks' injury. But at this point, I think everyone can understand this is not a sprained ankle. Okay? Tyree Adams had a sprained ankle, a severely sprained ankle. They did a tightrope procedure. Whit Weeks does not have a sprained ankle. They didn't do a tightrope procedure. He's missed a month. Like, he hasn't played since South Carolina. By the time they kick off against Arkansas, that will be 5 weeks. 5 weeks. That's not a sprained ankle. Okay. Braylon Morris sprained his ankle, severely sprained his ankle, played the next week. This isn't an ankle sprain. They're not disclosing the nature of the injury. I don't have exactly what it is, but we all know intuitively, like, we all understand watching sports and knowing the nature of these types of injuries that he's not missed 5 weeks because of an ankle sprain, especially when Tyree Adams had an ankle sprain and had tightrope procedure. So Witt's got something else going on. One day we'll find what it is, but I hope he's able to play this weekend for all the reasons we've discussed. LSU was awesome last year defensively against Arkansas with Bobby Petrino calling plays, with Taylor Green at quarterback. Yes, better offensive line this year, but this is better LSU defense this year than a year ago, the one that went to Fayetteville and beat Arkansas 34-10. So my hope is whatever Blake Baker, whatever magic he cooked up a year ago up in Fayetteville, remember that was without Harold Perkins too. You got Perk back this year. Whatever he cooked up a year ago in Fayetteville, they're able to replicate that Saturday in Tiger Stadium. Tigers are able to go get a big win and really limit that Arkansas offense, which is one of the best offenses in college football. I mean, Taylor Green leads the country in total offense. He leads the country in offense per game, over 300 yards per game individually. He's awesome. So big test for the LSU defense. Yes, would love to have Whit Weeks back, but it'll be a game time decision, according to Frank Wilson. We shall see. Okay. Now, we don't know what they're going to do at quarterback. We don't know if Whit Weeks is going to be healthy. And we also don't know what LSU is going to do at right tackle. That's the other big question no one's really brought up this week, and I want to discuss that next. Locked on LSU, your team every day. It's almost the weekend, so it's time to look back and crown this week's MVP on Who Delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. So let's break it down. For LSU, how about we look at Harold Perkins. He had the strip, sack, forced fumble recovery, big spot in the second half, which, of course, gave LSU the short field at the start of the fourth quarter. They'd only net a field goal out of it. But Perkins was awesome, and that's been really what he's been throughout his career. No hesitation, no delay. And if you've been watching week after week, that performance, no fluke. And just like Perkins delivered for the Tigers, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays. With DoorDash Streaks, you save every Saturday you order. Stack it up all season, you could save up to $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday. Keep the streak alive. Fuel your game day only with DoorDash Streaks. Terms apply. Promo period through 11/18. Naturally, we have had a lot of conversation about the quarterback position, and rightfully so. Nussmeier, Van Buren this year, and what it looks like for next year and beyond. The next 3 weeks are critically important for the quarterback position and Michael Van Buren. But I also think the next 3 weeks are critically important for the future of the LSU offensive line. Now, the position change that got all of the headlines at Alabama naturally was quarterback. When Garrett Nussmeier got benched in the third quarter and they went to Michael Van Buren. The other thing LSU did in that football game is they benched Weston Davis. So Davis played the first half. He was benched at halftime, and Ory Williams replaced him at the start of the third quarter. Now, on Monday of this week, when reporters met with Frank Wilson, I asked Frank if they had made a decision as to who was going to start at right tackle this week against Arkansas.
It was good to see Big Ory get out there. He's a mammoth of a man, right? Huge in stature. I thought he did a good job. You know, as you saw in style of play, we did those things, not just conscientious of a pass game standpoint in depth or lack of, or quarterback, but also to protect our offensive linemen at times who are still growing up when they needed it, to be able to have a tight end, to be able to have a back, an H-back, to protect the edge, to just slow them down just a bit, because sometimes it's just the presence, or sometimes it is the nudge or the chip that slows that guy down. Here's the difference, in my opinion, of the SEC and every other conference in America: those defensive ends. They're the Kiki Mingos, the Myles Garretts, all the Clownies. Those are the guys that make our conference what it is. And so that tackle who's going backwards is going against the most elite player in college football, in amateur sport, if you will. And those are the edge rushers in this league. And yet again, we'll have another one that we'll have to face in this week. But so there's consideration taken all the time in those guys that when they go out to the field. And so who will be the sort of, I'm not quite sure yet. You know, one played quite a bit, and then meaning Weston, and then of course Ory Williams went in and he played quite a bit. They both did some really good things. They both did some things that still we need to build upon, but we haven't made a decision just yet on that.
Okay, so I think it is so important what happens on the offensive line over these next 3 weeks, because it is objectively true. You would agree with me if you've watched this team this year that the offensive line has been LSU's weakest position group, and I don't think it's even particularly close or up for debate. So two things have happened here. You've gotten a lot of guys experience, but you've also seen a lot of guys not play well. So the question is, do you feel like you've gone through this year and a lot of the trials of the season and tolerated some of the poor play and you'll be better for it? Or you've learned these guys you just missed on the evals and you need to go in the portal and get guys? Now, let's specifically stay with right tackle for a second. So Weston Davis has played in 8 games this year. Remember, he didn't play against Ole Miss because Jack Pyburn broke his nose and concussed him before Ole Miss. I'm not laughing at that. It's just a bizarre, like, how is that even possible that happened? But it happened. So Weston Davis has played in 8 games. He's played 472 snaps at right tackle. It's a lot of football. And I want to remind you, Weston Davis was a high 4-star prospect. On 3 had him as a 5-star prospect, had him as top 5 offensive tackle in the country. So you're talking about a dude at 6'7", 320, who was an elite level basketball player. So good hands, soft hands, quick feet, super agile at that size. Everyone in the country wanted. Elite level athlete. He's just not been great on the offensive line this year, but he's played a ton. Ory Williams has played in 2 games. He played 26 snaps against Southeastern at left tackle. And then this past week, he played 32 snaps at right tackle against Alabama. That's it. That's all he's played this year. So Davis has played 472 snaps on the season. Williams has played 58 snaps. When it comes to Weston Davis, I kind of think of it in terms of like Paul Mabenga from a season ago. Mabenga had to go in mid-game against Texas A&M when things were not going very well. And it did not go well for Mabenga against A&M. And then he got his first start last year against Alabama. Like, if you look at his Pro Football Focus grades, that Alabama game, his first start, he graded out at a 43. Then against Florida, a 45. Then Vanderbilt, a 54. Then Oklahoma, a 60. So every week that he played, he kept getting better. When you look at Weston Davis this year, I would love to say that through 8 games, you've continued to see Weston Davis improve. But unfortunately, that's not been the case. He graded out as a 48 against Clemson, then a 50 against Tech, 34 against Florida, a 53 against Southeastern, then a 44 against South Carolina, 51 against Vanderbilt, 48 against A&M, 41 against Bama. The point is, you haven't seen the improvement through 8 games and 472 snaps. It would be different if we were seeing improvement. He's also, Weston Davis, committed 8 penalties this year. The next closest on the offensive line is Karius Kern with 3. And Kern hasn't even really been a major contributor throughout this season. So players can improve like Mabenga did throughout last year at the second half. But Davis has not improved. And the fact that he has not improved tells me I need to see somebody else. You have 3 games left. You put Ory Williams in against Alabama. Let me see Ory Williams for the next 3 games. Just like we're going to get a good chance to evaluate Karius Kern at left tackle while Tyree Adams is out. You have got to evaluate this offensive line for 2026. I know it sucks flatly to be talking about next year and evaluating players while you got 3 games left in 2025 in a season that had so much expectation. But that's a reality. Like, that's what you are when you're a 5-4 football team. You're not playing for anything. You need to think about your future. And you have invested a lot of time in this offensive line. And you're going to have a bunch of guys back next year. Look, you're losing Josh Thompson to graduation, but everybody else could come back. DJ Chester, Paul Mabenga, Tyree Adams, Weston Davis, Cohen Eccles, Karius Kern, Ory Williams. All these guys could be back next year. And then there's Braylon Moore, who I think is the biggest cog in this whole thing. Braylon Moore could certainly go pro. I think they have got to make him a priority. Get him back for another season. He was your best offensive lineman all year, the literal center of your offensive line as your center. You bring him back in the middle for a new quarterback, and then you build around him with a combination of these veteran guys, whoever else you bring in the portal. Amazing. Yes, you got to get Braylon Moore back. I would say he is the most important person on the offense to get back for next season. But you have to ask this question: do you go into 26 hoping for improvement from the guys I just mentioned, Chester, Mabenga, Adams, Davis, Eccles, Kern, Williams, and find your starting 5 among them? Or do you say, we've given all these guys playing time and it was bad, and we got to go in the portal and get plug-and-play ready-made dudes? And it's probably a combination. Like, if Braylon Moore comes back, awesome. And if you're able to get 1 or 2 starters out of the portal, yes. And then maybe Tyree Adams is your starting left tackle, and maybe Karius Kern's your right tackle, or some combination. I don't know how it'll work. They love Cohen Eccles. We'll see. But the point being that the next 3 weeks are an amazing opportunity to find out what you have in some of these other guys like Ory Williams. So Frank Wilson has said they haven't decided who's going to start. If it's going to be, Weston Davis or Ory Williams. You've seen 8 games of Weston Davis starting, and it ain't any better. No reason to believe it's going to get better in the next 3. Give Ory Williams a shot. That's just my take. Something to keep an eye on Saturday when LSU takes on Arkansas. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. On Monday, when Frank Wilson met with reporters, he made a plea to fans for Saturday and Saturday's game against Arkansas.
To our fans, we need you. We can't do it without you. You're the best fans in America. You love and you love hard, and we respect that. You have great expectations. And we're trying to meet those expectations because so do we. We want to play well. We want to play well for our fans, for our families. We want to play well for ourselves. We need loud and proud our fans to be in Tiger Stadium early. I know that's tough now. It always have been for them to get their behinds up early, but they got to get it. In my opinion, just come the night before. Start your tailgating. I'll come around in the golf cart and high five you. All right. Now I say that, Mike. I got to do it. All right. So I'm for that though. I'm for that. Our fans who's going to come out late Friday night. I'll leave the hotel with the team. Come by. See. I'm gonna do a check. Let's do a check to see how many fans are here to get going for Saturday morning. But no, glad to be back home. Glad to perform in Tiger Stadium. In the premier venue in all of sports. And so we're excited about having our fan base there to support us.
Okay. So Frank Wilson on Monday made a plea to fans to come out, said he was going to check on fans. He would do a check in the stadium Thursday night after practice, Thursday evening when Frank Wilson was meeting with reporters. Kind of followed up on that.
Y'all going to be out there Friday night? Y'all heard? Y'all don't know? Yeah. Yeah, I know she'll be there. You coming? You think we'll have fans out there? They won't have nobody out there Friday night, huh? Absolutely? Yeah? Yeah. All right.
He's a smart guy. He's a great communicator. He knows how to push the right buttons, and he's pulling out the stop right there. What a salesman. You think we'll have fans out there? I mean, of course you're going to have fans out there. You have the diehards that'll be there in their motorhomes and their RVs that show up certainly on Friday, if not earlier in the week, to park it and spend time around campus. And there will be plenty of fans out there getting geared up for Saturday and a full day of, well, an early game, but then a day of game watching and tailgating after LSU plays Arkansas. But it sounds like Frank Wilson will be around in the golf cart. After bed check with the team on Friday night, he'll be around Tiger Stadium trying to galvanize the fan base to get going. You know, it's interesting. This is a game in LSU and Arkansas where for as long as Les Miles was the coach at LSU, I said this often, said it every year. Of course, this is a game that has meant more to Arkansas than it has LSU. Not the result of the game. Of course, LSU wants to win, but just the opponent. And Frank said on Thursday that he showed his team video from the 2014 game. And if you remember the 2014 game, it was a freezing cold day, played the game in Arkansas, and LSU missed a field goal early. And after that, boom, they lay down, never got back up off the mat. And Arkansas beat LSU. It was Brett Bielema's first SEC win. They broke a long losing streak. And after that game, the Arkansas players sprinted across the field to the LSU sideline to grab the Golden Boot trophy. And Frank showed that video to this team. That was 11 years ago. None of these guys are aware of that at all. To illustrate to them what this game means to Arkansas and that LSU has to match their energy. I'll say it again. He is a great communicator. He is a great motivator. It's what's made him an incredible recruiter for as long as he has been. He's great at being relational and engaging with players and people and families and everybody. And he's been around LSU long enough to know the history and knows what this game means to Arkansas and knows that for LSU, it doesn't matter that Arkansas is 2-7 on the season, that they're going to be up for this game. And unfortunately, what you're probably going to see Saturday in Tiger Stadium is 60,000 fans. You're going to have giant swaths of empty seats in Tiger Stadium because it's a lost season. It's an early game. People are disappointed. And so the energy is going to be low in Tiger Stadium. It's just what's going to happen. And so this team is going to have to elevate and create their own energy to find a way to get up to go beat an Arkansas team that's 2-7, that's found creative ways to lose. And quite honestly, that is an inferior team to LSU, even as bad as LSU is. But you go out there, your energy is low, and you're playing an awesome quarterback in Taylor Green that can hurt you. This is a game where LSU can get clipped in a game it shouldn't get clipped, especially by a team that wants it more. So see if the Tigers can get that energy up, see what fans are there Friday night in the parking lot to meet Coach Frank out in front of Tiger Stadium. All right, y'all, that'll do it for us here on Locked on LSU. Please subscribe on your favorite podcast app or on YouTube. Thanks for making us your first listen every day, and thanks for making the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network in the world. This is Locked on LSU. It's your team every day.